Hello. I am so excited to share with you one of my favorite Bible study techniques. I am sure that you have heard of so many different ways that you can study the Bible. And in fact, I do different ways. There are times when I am focusing on a book. I am focusing on a chapter. I am focusing on a specific character. Perhaps I'm focused on a theme like wisdom, and I may go read through different scriptures based on wisdom. I also really like to take my time to read the Bible as a narrative. So reading the entire story, not doing a deep dive study, but just reading it to get an understanding of what's happening in that narrative. And then there are some times when I just like to go verse by verse and have an understanding of what that scripture means. So I want you to stick around because I want to share with you one of my favorite Bible study techniques. But first, hey family, hey friend, my name is Flo, and the name of this channel is Flo Has Faith. Thank you so much for stopping by and clicking on the channel. I am not a teacher, nor am I a preacher. I just love Jesus, and if you love him too, you are here to get edified, baby. So click like, subscribe, share, all of the things. We are at 93 subscribers. I'm trying to get to 100. I have a special prize for everyone, or that will be available to some. It will be gifted to some, but then eventually available for everyone else if they so choose. And I'm excited to share this Bible study technique with you. And this, by the way, it is a technique that is familiar. You may have heard of studying using the S.O.A.P method. So I figured, why not take this scripture for the week, for this to also be your motivation, but while this is going to be your motivation for the week, I want to show you how I choose to study the scripture. So if you've never heard of the S.O.A.P method, it is just like the stuff we get washed up with, y'all. It's S.O.A.P. S stands for scripture. You take a specific scripture that you're reading and you write it down. There's so much science to saying that writing things down helps us remember and understand it more. So don't just look at it, actually write that scripture out, right? And then O stands for observing, taking a take back, looking at that scripture after you wrote it down and see what stands out to you. A stands for application. How do I now look at this scripture, look at what I observed, and apply it to my life? And then finally, P stands for prayer. You want to now pray over the revelation. Pray over what God has just shared with you. And as a matter of fact, before you even start to read the Bible, pray for understanding and wisdom, and that God will reveal what he wants to reveal. I pray before I turn on this camera and start sharing with you what I think God has told me to share. And there are times when it changes, right? So we are going to use, for example, this can be your chance to practice this method. We are going to use Psalm, y'all, why am I playing? We're going to use Psalm 5. Yes, the 5th Psalm. And we're going to do verses 11 and 12. So I already wrote this out, and I just do want to share one thing that I think that I do that may be a little bit different that other people may or may not do, that really helps me when I am doing the S.O.A.P method. So again, our scripture S is Psalm 5, but I'm doing verses 11 and 12. And it says this: "But let all those rejoice who put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy, because you defend them. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous with favor. You will surround him as with a shield." So I started out with that scripture, and this is my method right here. If you want to do a screenshot, I don't know, And so one way that I choose to do an observation of the scripture, like I don't just go back to it and say, what is God saying? What is God saying? I go back and I underline all of the verbs. I think that helps me get a clearer understanding of what is this, because a verb is a doing word, it's action filled, right? So one word that I underlined was rejoice, and then put trust in, and then shout for joy, and then defend, and then be joyful, and then bless, and then surround. So I take a look at, okay, I am observing this scripture. What is the scripture saying? After I take a look at the verbs, I now want to know, who are these verbs relating to? Oh, God is saying for me, for us, for the children of God, he's saying that we should rejoice. So I take everybody else out and I say, Flo, he's talking to you. So Flo, rejoice. Flo, you put your trust in. Flo, you shout for joy. And then Flo, you be joyful. Why? Because now I look at the other verbs, God is doing something. Because God said he will defend you. Because God, he will bless you. Because God, he will surround you he will surround you with favor as if it was a shield, right? So I've written out the scripture. I've now looked at how I'm observing this, and I kind of write it out. So for my O, I put me, and I put rejoice, put trust in, shout for joy, be joyful. And then I put God, defend, bless, surround. And then I put, that is a word. Why worry? Why are you worrying? So that was my observation that I got from that. I looked at the verbs that was related to me. I looked at the verbs that was related to God. And I automatically said, that is a word. Now, this could be another time where you pray, okay, and you're just looking at it and you're like, God, what am I revealing from this? There are some times when I will go back to, normally when I am reviewing a specific scripture to do the S.O.A.P method with, it's because I read that whole chapter and that one verse or two verses stood out to me. So I did read the entire chapter of Psalm 5, and this is pretty much a prayer for guidance. This is from King David, and just to give you the backstory, this was when David was running from his son Absalom. Absalom is trying to now kill him, right? And so how do I know some of these things when I'm looking it up? Because I have all of these good things. Some of these tools are from my dad. This is the Strong Concordance. This is the Strong's Complete Bible. And I use this a lot. This is the Tony Evans Bible Commentary. So I like this too because it gives you a history of each book. And you kind of have an understanding of what's happening. And then I also ordered this for myself. This is the New National Baptist Hymn, because sometimes, the hymns that we used to sing when we grew up in church, they really are to usher you in. So there are times when I just like to read through it. If it's a hymn that I've never heard of and I don't know the rhythm, I will read through that. So I take this scripture from a chapter that I was reading. And in chapter 5, this is when David is running from his son, and the first part is just talking about how people are evil, right? And then he gets to these last two verses and he's saying, but you, oh God, I don't have to fear because you are a blessing. So that is how David is applying it. So then I want to say, well, Flo, now that you looked at this scripture, now that you observed it, how then is this going to apply to your life? And I said, when life is lifing and things do not look like they are working out based on what I see, because baby, we walk by faith, not by sight. It can look crazy. So I said, I am saying I have to remember to live by faith, not sight. I have to remember to rejoice, put my trust in God, shout for joy, and be joyful because God will defend me. He will bless me. He will surround me with favor. So this is how I make it applicable. when I'm tripping and having those lifing moments, as we all do, listen, whether you on the Christian side or you not, life will life, okay? It rings on the just and the unjust is the correct words that come from the Bible. When life, I can go back to this and remember, this is what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to cry and complain. And I'm not saying that you won't have those moments, because you will, but you're called to rejoice. You're called to be joyful, right? You're called to shout for joy. Why? Because God will defend you. And then the P part of this entire SOAP method is to take some time to pray. Pray over what you just learned. Pray over what it means to you. And for me, I wrote down, and I'll share with you, and I encourage you to do this, because this isn't a long verse, and it's not a verse that's very confusing. It makes sense, right? I put, God, my God, I truly do worship, praise you, and I bless your name. You are holy, holy, holy. Please cause me to remember your loving kindness. That was a psalm that I was meditating on a long time ago. Cause me to remember your loving kindness. Cause me to trust you, and cause me to be joyful. And I pray for you to defend and to bless me, and to continue to surround me with favor. And then I just go into some things that are a little more personal, right? I don't have to share everything with you guys. I love you, and I'm glad you clicked on this here channel. But some things I just go into how I am praying for God to bless me, praying for favor in my life. And you know, it's not a difficult technique at all. And you can use this for so many different scriptures in the Bible. I think that this is a great way for you to start your week. Let me just read it one more again for you. One more again. The scripture for this week is Psalm 5, verses 11 and 12. But let those rejoice who put their trust in you. Let them ever shout for joy, because you defend them. Let those also who love your name be joyful in you. For you, O Lord, will bless the righteous with favor. You will surround him as with a shield. Listen, baby, I pray and I hope that this blesses you, and I hope you having an amazing, wonderful week. Like and subscribe. We are at 93. Hey, I'm praying that we get to 100. Please share it. If this is an added value, please share it. All right. Listen, I am so grateful for each and every one of you that clicks and you chime in. Please comment down below. I want this to become a community that you're not only talking to me, but you get to talk to each other. All right. So have a wonderful week, and God bless you real good. Bye, y'all. Normally when I am using a specific scripture,